What we are looking at right now was the previous Ashok Leyland presentation was also a very important one and the one of the most interesting works. And definitely when we get to know the journey of a designer behind the curtain, behind the product, it definitely looks like a tremendous amount of work and dedication. So, but definitely one comes back to this point that yes, everything is still based on the aesthetics, the forms, and the looks of a vehicle. We did look at some of the mass vehicles like buses or Ashok Leyland's the career big vehicles, the very big size vehicles. So now one could look at the vehicles which are mass used but are small and our public vehicles. So what comes in that category? And also we can start with a small warm-up exercise, which is also on even smaller objects. But we will look at how the aesthetics and forms can be evaluated. See, you as the faculty out there, we look and we critique and we try to make students much aware about the aesthetics of form and the usage of form. But we also kind of develop a grammar with them to evaluate the form critically also. So one could also look at all that vocabulary, and I know all of you will also resonate with me at many points. So going ahead, I come to needs and challenges. First, about when we talk about visual perception of form. So we can definitely say that when we look at designed objects, they compete with each other on a shelf to catch users' eye. Hame dekho, hame lo, hame use karo, right? And designer relies on, when designer is designing, they rely on intuition and experience. So mostly they can never actually articulate why did they choose a particular form above the other form. So a very first-hand information if they get what the user's liking about the shape, about the look of a product, a designer has cues in their head which they can step on as small islands and create an outline on that regard, especially for the people who design for markets. So I am going to just give an example of this classroom project which we did for helmets, especially under Professor Chakravarti's guidance. So you could look at all these helmets, and could some of you just quickly in your heads go through a small exercise and say which are one of the most typical ones and which are one of the most atypical ones? So if you have a scribble pad or something, just write it down. Yeah. Write it down. I mean, it is not a test. It is just for ourselves, like a play. So I start with some kind of gamification out here and see, yeah. Because
the first one can be number 1, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
yeah,
7, 8.
And if you confuse with the numbers, you can just call it the brown one, the yellow one, blue one, blue 2, okay, red 1, red 2. That is all right. But what I'm trying to do over here is we will shuffle into 3 roles. We will shuffle into a normal common user's role, which we are doing now. We are just looking at it to see which is the most typical, the most usual, the most seen, the most made shape, and the most atypical, probably the most deviant from the present. Okay. Yeah. And then we will also look at it with a researcher's point of view, that how will a researcher actually research and place it in a scale. And thirdly, we will also look at it in terms of a faculty who's trying to make it understand to a student who's come with a project, and you have to make that person articulate their feelings or their perceptions that they have put in a shape. So giving objectivity to subjectivity. Okay, so you can just quickly go over here, and also you can quickly look at them, say the brown one, the first one, and say what does it resemble. The yellow one, does it resemble a natural kind of a shape? So let me give you a cue. These were designed from cues from nature. Anything from nature has been taken as a motivation, and these have been built. Say the third one, the top right blue one. Could you think of a creature that resembles this shape?
Beetle.
Probably yes, probably not. We are all are close. Okay. The bottom left one, the chrome yellow one, the one with many sections, symmetrical sections. So keep it in your head, okay? So you are your own assessors. So now, which of these got your attention first? Any person can say.
The silver one, the ninth one.
The ninth one, the silver one. Oh my God. See, the last and the least to be seen, since a human perception as pro one walks from left to right, the way we read, and from top to bottom in a random form, this was the bottom right. So quite an unusual one. So could you think that the shape has an excessively attractive some kind of magnetism towards it? So we will question ourselves. Let's go ahead. And also now you will see my PPT is a bit lagging. I've still not gone forward. Okay. Is there a one that you see repeatedly? In the sense, you looked at one, then you started looking at others, but you again went to the same one. This is your repeat gaze. Was there one who's calling you again and again and that, come and look at me? Was there a one like that? So the same for you, Lakshmi ma'am.
Yeah.
Fourth one.
I think, the second one and the blue last seem to
Very
be
interesting.
similar.
Very interesting.
And yellow and the second row last red one similar.
So that means there's something striking about that. So keep your favorite ones with you, and let's go ahead and look at this quest. So I will just go to the need and challenges. What is the need and what is the challenge? Through styling and through iteration, visual effects are defined at a very early stage. And sometimes when the objects are competing, even for stylization, very small, minor styling changes are made. But those smaller styling changes define the product completely. So could one say that, कई बार हमारे clients बोलते हैं कि भैया novel project बनाओ, novel shape बनाओ. तो ये novel क्या है? Novel in terms of what? So Lakshmi ma'am, you saw that sectioned helmet gray one. Was it novel or was it typical? Could you put it in a section? So they say कि ये बहुत typical बनाया है. So what is that typical? What is the subjectivity of form in the word typical? What is novel? So these things keep on changing. In terms of novel, when we go to cars, you have a different car in head. In terms of novel, when we go to a train engine, it is completely different. When it comes to novel, to a pendant that a woman is wearing, it has a completely different grammar and a visual language. So we do need objective information regarding form when such subjective words are attached to it. So, for example, this is a typical scene where product is actually when it is almost about to get into the manufacturing unit. So these are the soft, full scale examples. So you will see that the entire team comes there, whether they have to do anything for the design at all. So there will be marketing people, there will be sale people, and the designer would be defending their design. How would he do that? I like it. No. This is my favorite pet, probably. How does it compete with the other most forward cars, most liked cars? What is matching with what and to what degree is where a designer is caught at. So that is where when a designer covers this distance from a typical to atypical. So let's go and see how. So we did the why of it. So we say that quickly I will take you through a small short course of eye tracking first, okay? And then we will come back to our helmets. Don't worry, keep your pets with you. So why eye tracking? Why did I go with eye tracking? So there were many methods that I could use to extract the information why a certain thing was looked at in a certain way, typical, atypical, novel. So, but then I thought, what if I find a third person, a triangulator, who tells me anything without being subjective? So one such thing was technology. Why not look at one of these apparatuses, which just tells you what is out there and how are people looking at it? So what does eye tracking do? So eye tracking is a form of information acquisition, because in eye tracking, you look at only what is relevant and important. Can you give a motivation? You can give a motivation to the looker कि आप novel बता सकते हैं. तो सबसे ज़्यादा वो जहाँ देखेंगे, probably वो उनके लिए novel है. Vision equity कि usually क्या है, हम जब किसी भी चीज को देखते हैं तो entire circle, our field of sight is blurred, but only 2 degrees is where is our actual focus at. That is how the eye tracking apparatus actually kind of zeroes down to a particular position inside on an object. So I hope I can actually light a curious lamp inside you, and you can always go to your labs. I think NIFT Kharghar is definitely going ahead and buying the eye tracking apparatus. I have been in the team for some comparisons and approvals. So anyway, coming back to this, so records and blueprints, visual scanning जो हम कर रहे हैं उसका complete blueprint record मिलेगा. जैसे आप यहाँ से लेके आप अपनी close market में जा रहे हैं और रास्ते में चीजें हैं, अपना GPS map जो है eyes का वो आपको मिलेगा. I will show you how. And so it gives objective data. Can you see the image on the right? So it has circles and it has numbers. The circles denote the time spent on a particular point. So can you see circle number 6 and circle number 16? Circle number 6 is like 1/4 of circle 16. That means that is the time that one person spent on 6, but at 16, a person spent more of their visual time devoted to the visual time given. And what are these numbers? These are the numbers. Which point did you look before and after? So can you find 1? We can see 1, 2, 3. Can you see how it traveled? The gaze, the bang on right in the center is 1. On the left is 2, right is 3. Left is 4. Can you see how the ball keeps on moving from one field to the other? So what are we doing in the first 10 to 15 such fixations? These are called fixations. What are we doing there? We are kind of taking a very rough gist of the entire form. Then what are we doing in the later part? Then we are trying to decipher the rest and understand the rest of the design. How are we understanding the rest of the design? How are we understanding the indentations, the bevel and the embossing? Through reflections and through shades. So that is what that clarifies this form for us, okay? So this is just an example. Let's move forward. So my project has been that when I get such kind of data of certain section of people that I select through my experimentation, I try to analyze it. So I have relied on analysis of the previous researchers, but previously researches on form have not been done much, almost not at all. So I learned from mostly the eye tracking has been used for web very, very extensively. So learning from there, but those rules do not apply for when you are looking at an object aesthetically. Could you tell me why? Because when we look at a website, we try to look at what function we need to look for. Where do we click? But when you look at a helmet, how do you look at? Probably, is it wearable? Can I hold it? How big would it be? So these questions are completely different. So that is why the analysis would completely be different. So that is where the uniqueness of this research lies that how to interpret such data in terms of aesthetics, form, and visual perception. So for those of you who have not seen the apparatus, I have just put up a small a drawing of how it is done. So can you see that the picture actually with the human figure is where the person sits. The front monitor actually shows the image that has to be evaluated. And at the bottom of that screen are hidden cameras, infrared cameras, the 2 red dots. So I have shown that apparatus in that circle where the infrared illumination is actually thrown into the pupil, your eyes. And what does it catch? There is a bulge in the eye usually. So, you know, where the main reflection is there. So why that bulge? Because our lens is there. So lens keeps on moving. So the bulge keeps on moving. So this infrared illumination camera, the light, it keeps on tracking where the bulge goes. And that is interpreted into this kind of fixation map that I just showed you. Okay. So now how and where do I see this experiment? Look at the small left top picture there. So there the experimenter's position is there and the subject sits here. So this monitor is attached to another monitor which I observe and I run my experiment through. Usually one thing that one experimenter has to take care is this since it is only the monitor prone thing, it cannot be done in a group. You have to call subject one by one and you have to plan your experiment accordingly. So what are the characteristics of these form here? One is this is a medium-sized product. Overall shape is very predominant. Very small indentations or incisions are made to create some interest in the overall form of the product here. So now coming back to what do you think is this first red one inspired from? Okay, maybe I can't make it. The yellow one. Yellow one looks like a sectioned creature who's wearing this on their back and walking. So what could that creature be? So can you see that? These are the inspirations that the students took it from. The first one is from the shape and from the layers and layers of lotus. The second one, the anteater, how the sections, you know, they move into each other and they come out. And the third one is just a surfacial inspiration from the textures, the black and whites, the predominant black and whites of a zebra maybe. So now coming to, now I will show you, you have your results of typical and atypical with you. I will show you what were my results. So I went to some of the designers, to some of the people on the streets with these cards printed. And I said, could you place them from left to right, from the most typical to the most atypical according to you? So snowball sampling and I took 15 volunteers. So I created a scale. First, these were random. I created first a scale. Okay. That scale kind of out of 15 people, this is how they treated it. So Lakshmi ma'am, can you see why yours was the attraction magnet? It is the most atypical rated by these 15 people. And on the atypical scale, it is the topmost. So atypical has this quality of creating immediate.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That was me, Mupinder. And you know, actually, I have taken 9 as most atypical and 4th. I think that's the first one here. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So can you see this? So I also am trying to tell you how I mixed experiments. So this experiment is not eye tracking, but because for eye tracking, I first needed a comparison scale. So first I created a comparison scale. So I established this, that this is the scale according to all of these, that 1 is the most typical shape. Though I think, can you say that 1 and 2, what are they inspired from? Excuse me.
1 is, it looks like beetle.
Can you give me a glass of water?
Ladybug. It looks like
yes,
ladybug.
They are beetle and bugs. The giant beetle and the bug. Okay. Now, so see, everybody's getting interested to know the shape first. Can you guess what 4 is? 4 is actually inspired from a banyan tree.
Oh, lovely.
Mhm.
The crevices of the banyan.
9, now whoever loved 9, they have to tell us what 9
Inspired from.
is.
Yeah.
9 actually looks like these terrace farming hills. I don't know.
Interesting. Very nice, very nice. I think I should do another experiment of now, you know, after building, how they look. है ना sir?
Ah, bilkul. The associations, what people associate with it, no? Yeah.
Because these are later association. It started with, you know, but the maker actually planned it with a, when you look at it from top, so it looks like a spider's web. So now I come back to our main topic and say, ki, you know, can we understand something from this example, that out of all these, and all these were actually given as create the atypical form in your helmets.
The assignment was to create the best atypical form. Ah, you're right.
Yes, but we also get to see that how the mass reacts to a form and what is their perception of it. Why 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5 is kind of a cuss. And then towards 7, 8, 9, they find, you know, is the form getting complex? Are there simple shapes towards typical? So, I mean, these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Right now, I will only place it, I'm a researcher. I will not get biased now. So I will say I've created a scale. Now, my next question is, if this is the scale of atypical to typical, can I, through eye tracking, find out whether atypical gets maximum attention or whether typical is most seen? So did you see I used two kind of terminology. Over here, interchangeably, I'm using the one that gets maximum attention is most seen, is most explored. So I will tell you what are my criteria. For everyone, I gave limit in time. Within that time, if I gave everybody not more than 20 seconds, then how can I say which was looked at more and which was looked at less? What I will see is what was explored. So let me give you a cue here. So in 20 seconds, you can make 20 fixations. 20 points you can look at. But in 20 seconds, you can also look at only 8 points and spend more time on it. So now do you understand how we understand and analyze fixations? So a fixation is if you look at a point. If you look longer, you don't give time to other fixation, you keep on spending time on this fixation. If you give shorter time, you can make many fixations. Okay, so what does this denote? That how you have explored a form. So the time limit given to each one is the same, because people can just keep on looking and looking and looking. My data will keep on heaping. How will I analyze? So for keeping it comparable, the one constant factor was that only one kind of time was given to all. So can you also see, because I was also, even sir was, Professor Chakravarti was so inquisitive also, I want to see how designers look and non-designer look, and whether we can understand through eye tracking that only looking at eye tracking, I can tell this is a designer's eye tracking data and this is a non-designer's eye tracking data. But you know, actually, after experimenting for so many years, I could later understand. So can you see there are a few differences between how the designers and non-designers look? Can you see that designers, since they are institutionalized probably, are they're taught to look and they keep on evaluating form all the time, you will see that they have divided their time into smaller fixations, but they have run around all over the form. What is a non-designer doing? They are fixating longer. Why? Because they are trying to process. Probably they cannot understand through reflection and shade कि ये surface पे क्या हो रहा है? What is this dynamics created on that surface? Another thing is, if I mix it up, let's not look at it as a designer and non-designer. Let's look at it as 4 people. So can we make a judgment of how our object is look? Can you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? The first 5 or 6 are very small fixations, probably lesser than a second. Then everybody starts to make larger fixations. So that means, and can you see the top right one, 11, 12, 13, how a person is trying to make the outline of a shape first and then spending time in between. This is how a normally human perception, and many papers have proved it. I only reproved it, but to my own enlightenment, was that yes, how a person within a given time first takes the gist of a visual and then actually starts to explore. And while exploring, there could be 1 or 2 points where they will keep on going back again and again and again. These places, in terms of eye tracking, are called as areas of interest, AOI. So can you, over top right one, can you tell me what is the AOI? Where 16, 21, 18, 19, 7, 1, can you see how many revisits are done there? So that becomes an area of interest. Can you see in the first designers, number 4, they have the same area of interest for this project. So we just learned two small terminology. One is fixation. I hope everybody is with me on that. And second is area of interest. The third one is saccade. So can you see these lines that join the two fixations? These are actually not lines. We don't look linearly. But this apparatus actually gives us data like that. And these are saccades. These are jumps. From 11 to 12, I jumped. So that jump is called a saccade. So I have analyzed saccades as well, along with fixations. So this is just a small marked 4 examples where I showed you how trained people and probably the novice people could actually be scanning their products depending on their own visual perceptions. So this is my result of visual interest. I mean, this might be a little overwhelming. Let me explain it to you. On the top, I have put my scale, which is typical to atypical, which remains the same. At bottom, on left is my minimum attention. सबसे कम attention किनको मिली? Designers के तरफ से. और right में सबसे ज़्यादा visual attention किसको मिली? Right. So, आपने देखा कि एक स्केल ये बिल्कुल शिफ्ट नहीं हुआ है ग्रे कलर का, लक्ष्मी मैम का फेवरेट ग्रे कलर का हेलमेट, वो टिपिकल भी एटिपिकल भी है, एटिपिकल की पीक पे है और वो मैक्सिमम अटेंशन पे भी दोनों तरफ से है, ऊपर डिजाइनर्स है नीचे नॉन डिजाइनर्स है. तो दैट मीन्स जनरल मास ने भी उसको मैक्सिमम एटिपिकल बोला विजुअल परसेप्शन के हिसाब से, डिजाइनर्स ने उसको मैक्सिमम अटेंशन दी और नॉन डिजाइनर्स ने भी उसको मैक्सिमम अटेंशन दी. तो एक चीज डेफिनेटली प्रूव होती है कि कभी भी आप कुछ हट के, लीग से हट के, उस प्रोडक्ट की प्रोडक्ट शेप की लाइन से हट के बनाओगे तो अटेंशन डेफिनेटली लेगा. दैट इज अ ट्रेट ऑफ ए एटिपिकल प्रोडक्ट. लेकिन हम जब ऐसा कर लेते हैं तो अब हम मार्केट पे आ जाए. ये तो खैर मेरी एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन की बात हो गई. तो मार्केट वाले क्या एक्सेप्ट करेंगे? क्या मैं उसको खरीदूंगी? क्या जो मजदूर जिसको ये पहन के साइट पे जाना है, will that person buy it, kind of wear it? He probably will say, I don't know, will it fit well, will it protect me from the debris and all that, you know. So we are doing this project in the class and we are learning shapes and form through it. But when it goes to the market, that is why many products fall, they say na, ahead of their time. Are they too atypical to be accepting? In that case, what does a designer do? They find the middle path somewhere. कि भैया typical की range में हो पर atypical दिखे. अब सबको सब कुछ चाहिए होता है. What to do? So there is, I was also in the middle of my research, very confused and thinking, you know, how do you draw that middle line? So there is a concept that one a very senior researcher put up, which is Maya, which is most advanced yet accepting. You keep it towards atypical, but you keep shades of typical so as you keep it for people through their perception to be acceptable. I will tell you how I found out that it has to be acceptable and it has to have shades of typical. So over there, and now I will come back to the auto rickshaw. So the small case study, I hope everybody got the gist of it, that, how we could actually experiment and evaluate through many ways, form, and try to understand form.